Hi everyone. Welcome to Agentic AI for Marketing. Let's kick things off by taking a minute to define just what an agent actually is.
Hey, thanks, Chad. Excited to be here with you talking about AI agents for marketing. We're going to start off with a discussion about what is an agent and what is an AI agent, and look at the differences there. So keep in mind as we start, we're just talking about normal agents, not AI agents. That's an important distinction, right? So an agent, no LLM connected, no AI, is one who is authorized to act for or in the place of another. Another definition here is a computer application designed to automate certain tasks. An agent is just one that acts or exerts power on behalf of someone else. So we're going to watch a little bit of a video from the Google Cloud team talking about AI. We're going to watch a couple of small clips from this team.
So I think one of the most important things to remember is that an agent doesn't necessarily need to even incorporate an LLM. If your agent doesn't need generative AI capabilities, you probably don't need an LLM. You may be able to use a simple hard-coded algorithm to achieve your goal.
That actually makes sense. Agents were around before LLMs took off and either used hard-coded rules or used custom-trained models, things like BERT. I remember doing this as a part of robotic process automation bots even just a few years ago. And those options, and more importantly, the use cases for those agents are even more valid today than they were 5 years ago.
LLMs are not required. AI is not required for something to be considered an agent. So what is then an AI agent? Let's watch another bit of this video from this team.
So some folks say that agents must act autonomously, but acting autonomous is also kind of vague. If an agent uses tools to research a topic and then summarizes the results for you, is that acting autonomously?
Other people say that agents must be able to reason about their environment based on the inputs and based on their own outputs.
And I read in one place that an agent was a system that was prompted an LLM more than once before returning to the user.
I think we can agree that the definitions vary wildly.
Okay, so there's some confusion and even some controversy around what is an AI agent, what is not an AI agent. And I think that it's important to understand these 5 stages of AI development to really have a better grasp on these foundations. So this is a video we're going to watch from Sam Altman, who's talking about these different degrees of or stages of AI development.
We realized that AGI had become this badly overloaded word, and people meant all kinds of different things. And we tried to just say, okay, here's our best guess roughly of the order of things. You have these level 1 systems, which are these chatbots. There'd be level 2 that would come, which would be these reasoners. We think we got there earlier this year with the O1 release. 3 is agents, ability to go off and do these longer term tasks, maybe like multiple interactions with an environment, asking people for help when they need it, working together, all of that. And I think we're going to get there faster than people expect. 4 is innovators, that's like a scientist, and that's ability to go explore like a not well understood phenomena over like a long period of time and understand what's just just figure it out. Yeah. And then level 5, this is the sort of slightly amorphous, do that, but at the scale of a whole company or a whole organization or whatever. That's going to be a pretty powerful thing.
Okay, this is important because this was recorded in July of 2024. And if you caught it, he's basically saying that we are not quite to level 3 yet. A lot has happened since July of 2024. Sam is saying we're not quite there yet. But then on the other hand, you have companies like Salesforce who are pitching and selling their services around working, functioning agents. And you're seeing this a lot in a lot of different places. This is why the word agent is so popular right now, is because everyone's talking about trying to sell these. And so you got Sam Altman who's saying we're not quite there yet. And then you've got Salesforce and others who are saying, hey, here's our agent. So what is it? Who's right? Who's wrong? So coming back to these 5 stages of AI development, I believe that we're kind of in this phase here between level 2 and level 3, where we are into the world. We're working on more fully autonomous agents right now. But this is an important discussion or an important idea around this topic of AI agenticness. Let's take a look at that. We're going to watch another video.
So how can we talk about agents without having a clear idea about what they are?
So Andrew Ng wrote a blog post about this challenge and suggested that instead of talking about things as agent versus not agent, we just acknowledge that different kinds of systems can be agentic to different degrees.
Okay. So an AI completing a task autonomously is agentic, and an AI researching and summarizing for you is also agentic, but maybe not to the same kind of degree of agentic.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So in other words, agenticness varies from one agent to another. So one more video.
So what is it? You probably already know that AI stands for artificial intelligence. But here's where it gets interesting. AI by itself is like raw brain power. It's got all this potential, but it's not really useful until you give it a job. Enter the AI agent. Think of AI as the genius with a million ideas, and the AI agent is the one who actually gets stuff done. While AI is all about smarts, an AI agent is the practical, hands-on version. The AI agent takes the intelligence of AI and turns it into action, whether it's answering your questions, automating your work, or handling your to-do list. So while AI is the brains, the AI agent is the one rolling up its sleeves and making things happen. Here is the 1, 2, 3 of AI agents. Number 1, they understand. AI agents listen to what you're asking or needing. Number 2, they think. They process this information and figure out the best way to help you. And number 3, they act. Finally, they deliver what you need, whether it's an answer, a solution, or help completing a task.
Okay, I really like that explanation. I feel like it's pretty simple, but let's just recap a little. A non-AI agent is an entity that performs actions or makes decisions based on predefined rules without using AI. And then an AI agent, it can operate autonomously. I like these 3 steps that he talked about. They can understand, they can think, and then they can act. So here's some of the differences, right? You can have a computer program that is not connected to AI, that is doing something for you, that can still be considered an agent. But then you have, once you start introducing an LLM, AI into the picture, then it adopts a varying degree of agenticness. So here's kind of a graph of representing this idea that the more autonomy and self-reliance that an agent has, which, it's funny, we're using the word agentic or agent in the definition of agent, but it's the more autonomy it has, the more agentic it is, right? Let's watch another video, and we're going to give one more example that hopefully adds a little bit more clarity and understanding to this topic.
Now, how do they work? Imagine your parents are heading out for the evening and leaving the babysitter in charge. Remember, you're only 5. They don't just walk out the door, they give them instructions. What time you need to go to bed, what you can have for a snack, and what to do in case of an emergency. That's exactly how AI agents are trained. Developers provide these agents with detailed instructions using data, so they know exactly how to respond in different situations. Some agents come pre-programmed with basic instructions, like a babysitter who's already experienced. Others can be customized to fit your needs, like giving the babysitter special rules for kids. Once set up, these AI agents handle tasks just as smoothly as a well-informed babysitter.
Okay, so what do they look like? What do these AI agents look like?
When we talk about what an AI agent looks like, it's helpful to think of it as a combination of 2 things: an interface and a workflow. The interface is how you interact with the AI agent, maybe through a chat window, a voice assistant, or even a button on a website. But behind that interface is where the real magic happens, and that's the workflow. Imagine a flowchart. You ask the AI agent a question or give it a command through the interface. That's the starting point. From there, the AI agent follows a series of steps or nodes in a workflow. These nodes could involve accessing information from a database, making a decision based on what it finds, or even performing a task like sending an email. The nodes in this workflow might change depending on what you ask or what the AI agent needs to do next, but it's all behind the scenes. So while you only see the interface, what's really happening is that the AI agent is working through a whole process to get you the best result. Now, here's a simple 4-step illustration of that process. The first is the input. You ask a question or give a command. The second is processing. The AI agent thinks about what you've asked and searches for the best way to respond. Number 3 is action. The AI agent gives you an answer, finds information, or performs a task. And fourth is learning. The more you use it, the smarter it gets. Learning from past interactions to improve.
Okay. Multi versus single agent workflows. If you're going to be building a podcast, right, with a multi-agentic workflow, instead of just having one agent and saying, hey, go do multiple things to create a podcast for me. Like, I want you to transcribe this and then edit this and then create some social content for it and then post it to my website and so on. Multi-agentic workflows produce a better result because it's very similar to the way that we work in real life, where you have specializations or specialties, where you have experts doing one specific thing. So instead of trying to train an agent to do a lot of different things, it's better to try and train multiple different agents to do one very specific thing. So with the podcast example, you may have the writing for the podcast script done by one agent, and then you, the human, go and record this podcast, and then you take that podcast and you hand it to another agent, and you say, I want you to transcribe this. And then it hands to another agent who will then take the transcription and then say, write a blog about that particular podcast episode, and then hands it to another agent who goes to check for any type of, like an editor, right? It goes through to check for errors, grammatical, spelling, whatever. And then maybe one final agent who's more kind of like a marketing manager agent to make sure that all of it looks good, and if it needs any edits, it may give it some feedback, kind of like some self-reflection for this AI, gives it some response, some feedback, and then you can go through that loop again before it sends you, the human, the output of that. So basically, each of these have their own specific job to accomplish, and it's much easier to train them to get better results when they have one specific job instead of a ton of jobs. So then it's just handing from one agent to another, to another, to another. That multi-agentic workflow produces much better results than if you were just using one. Okay, so why does all of this matter? This is super important, and I think it's critical. This is Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO. It's really fascinating the way that he's approaching this. So let's take a look.
SaaS applications or biz apps. So let me just speak of our own dynamics thing.
Right.
The approach, at least we're taking, is I think the notion that business applications exist, that's probably where they'll all collapse, right, in the agent era. Because if you think about it, right, they are essentially CRUD databases with a bunch of business logic. The business logic is all going to these agents. And these agents are going to be multi-repo CRUD, right? So they're not going to discriminate between what the backend is. They're going to update multiple databases, and all the logic will be in the AI tier, so to speak.
CRUD is create, read, update, and delete. Basically, SaaS is in trouble. And vertical AI agents are the future. And the team at Y Combinator has a lot to say on that. We're just going to look at a quick snippet of that.
Maybe the other point of why the bull case for vertical AI agents could be even bigger than SaaS is that SaaS, you still needed an operations team or set of people to operate the software in order to get all the workflows to be done. I don't know, approval workflows, or you have to input the data. The argument here is that you will get not only replacing all that set of SaaS software, so that will be like one-to-one mapping, but is also going to eat a lot of the payroll. Because you look at a lot of the spend for companies, big chunk is still a payroll and software's tiny.
Exactly. They spend way more on employees than they do on software.
So it'll be these smaller companies that are way more efficient, that need way less humans to do random data entry or approvals or click the software.
I agree. I think it's very possible the vertical equivalents will be 10 times as large as the SaaS company that they are disrupting.
Okay. So just before I hand it off to Chad, just a quick recap here. We've talked about what agents are, that they can, things that can operate on your behalf without having to have an LLM connected to it. And then we talked about AI agents, which are things that are doing something on your behalf with an LLM associated, and the varying degrees of agenticness. We talked about that as the foundation. Then we talked about really what they are, how they work, and then if we're going to be building them ourselves or are we going to be paying for them. But ultimately, like AI agents, we need to understand this. We need to know how to get them to work in our favor. And this is an incredible skill, an incredibly important skill that we need to develop. And if we don't, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in trouble for our own jobs, for marketers. Like, we need to be harnessing this. So anyway, thank you, Chad. Sending back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Pete. That brings us to the next big question. How can we get our hands on these agents? Well, inside of ChatGPT, you can make custom GPTs. Those are accessible and powerful. I personally like to use middleware solutions like Lindy, N8N, or FluxPrompt. Each of these has a free version or a free trial, so you can experiment with them before you have to buy. And for these examples, I'm going to use FluxPrompt, but you could likely do something similar in any of them. The first step is understanding what you want to build, then putting it all together. The FluxPrompt interface is a canvas, like a Miro board or a Lucid workspace. In the canvas, I can place nodes and then connect the nodes together. This lets me break an agentic workflow into individual jobs. Like Pete mentioned, I'm using a multi-agentic workflow. I also like building things that are already proven by humans to create value. That way, then you plug in your agentic workflow and the agent can just do them faster and cheaper. Here's an example. Let's say I'm working on a messaging project. The manual process I would follow is I would interview a customer, then I would write a problem statement that captured the customer's pain or problem as deeply as possible. Then I would take that problem and reverse it. Reversing the problem statement is going to give me the value prop, or the USP, right? My unique selling proposition, because our value is to make the problem go away. Next, I would write the main points of the USP as key messages. These aren't customer-facing messaging yet, but they are the main points, the main things that we think will resonate with our customer. Then I write the marketing messages. So I'm going to write these messages out in a way that maps the context of the channel. So for example, I might write a LinkedIn post differently than I would a Google ad. And those are customer facing, because then we're going to run those ads and watch for the customer to validate our messaging with their response. But all of that starts with a problem statement. So let's see how we could get an AI agent to help us there. I mentioned ChatGPT. Well, inside of ChatGPT, you can access deep research. And deep research is a powerhouse for quantitative research. But a hack that I love is using it for qualitative questions too. So here, I've asked it to research a checklist of questions about problem statements. Now I'm going to take that info and plug it in as context for my agent. This problem statement agent really only needs 4 inputs to run. I can enter those in this form that I've connected to the flow. I need to tell it who the target customer is. This is probably a title, but could also be a role or a function. Then I need to give it a description of the problem in just rough terms. I can also upload the transcripts of my customer calls here. The AI will be able to parse that and figure it out. Then I need to give it the name of the product. And then lastly, I'm going to enter in an email address so that I can receive the results. Okay, hey, let's try it. The agent is going to create the problem statement and then export it as a Google Doc. All right, voila, there we go. There's our problem statement. And without going in too deep, I'll just show you some of the other agents that we've built using the exact same pattern. This is one for brand guides, and here's one for competitor battle cards. Ooh, let's look at that one for just a moment. I always hated getting battle card requests from my sales team. I always felt like they were just one competitor release away from being obsolete. But this agent gets its data by scraping review sites. So it's a historical snapshot based on actual customer comments for both our company and the competitor. The agent will go out and analyze the reviews, and then it will build a SWOT analysis for us, highlighting where we win versus where our competitor wins. Then it'll compare features, pricing information if that's available, even suggest messaging that emphasizes our strengths against this particular competitor. Now, just like marketing roles are often divided into demand, ops, and analytics on one hand, and brand, creative, or content roles on the other, I like to think of my AI projects the same way. Research on one side, content on the other. Thank you for watching this dive into Agentic AI for marketing. There's more here than we could possibly cover in 20 minutes, but I hope we've been able to wet your whistle and give you at least a taste of the power that building these AI agents can give you and your marketing team. There's just so much work that marketers do that can be done quickly and easily with agents. And what that does is it frees marketers up to spend their time and effort in solving the higher order problems, right? The things that require judgment, taste level, things that require critical thinking and problem solving skills. Those are things where so far AI is still weak. AI is better at the grunt work. By using these AI agents, it allows us as humans to deploy our skills in their highest and best use. So it's making us more effective at the same time as it's making life easier for us. Thank you so much for attending. We'd love to talk to any of you after the event. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you.